Doom vivamos vivamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast One Shot Edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by.
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going, Nick?
Doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is X-Men number 112, Magneto Triumphant. And while the usual credits are the same here, I'm going to note that this issue marks the start of the Jim Shooter era. All right, Jim Shooter takes over as editor-in-chief on this one. And I think we've talked about this before. I know Jim Shooter can be a quasi-controversial figure who just recently passed away. I think his era at Marvel is where we get some of the strongest stuff out of Marvel, personally. Whether that's for good or for ill, the way Shooter treated people, that's of course a different topic to discuss. But I think the stories here tend to be quite strong. Also,
No, I agree.
this issue informs us that the X-Men are now a monthly magazine, which speaks to the success that the book has had since Claremont has taken over. All right.
Yeah, no, definitely. This issue feels a little shorter too. I don't know if it literally is. Maybe it's just the pace, right? Maybe it's just
Yeah.
because there's so much crammed into this and it goes by so quick. So this is a really solid book.
I'm right there with you. We're gonna have a future episode on Fantastic Four Volume 5, and those ones are definitely longer page wise, but these X-Men issues certainly feel shorter, and I know they're at least a couple of pages shorter. Right, that page count in the 60s was in the 23, and then it starts dropping down to about 20, and that's the norm for a while. I think these are 17, something like that.
Yeah,
Got to save
yeah, and
money
that
on
must be
printing.
it. And then they get bumped back up a little bit later. I think the standard's like 22 now or something,
Yeah, something like
or
that.
at some point. Yeah.
All right, as for what happens in this book, Magneto succeeded in capturing the X-Men inside a circus cart from the previous issue, and he whisked them away to a secret base in Antarctica. There, the X-Men attempt to fight back, and Magneto soundly defeats them. They're imprisoned in chairs, unable to speak or use their powers. In short, they have become like babies, just as Magneto had been before being restored by Eric the Red. All right, your thoughts on this issue, Stoger?
There's a lot to like. So the first thing I'll point out is I have a love-hate relationship with the cover. I think it's a fun cover. It looks a little silly, like Wolverine's
Yep.
face kind of looks silly, but I wouldn't change it for anything. Like it's kind of great. The circus cart is the biggest and smallest circus cart I've ever seen. We got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine people, 10 people crammed in this if you count Mesmero. And it looks so small from the outside, but inside everybody's got a little bit of space to breathe. So that's kind of interesting. I love the world building with Magneto in this issue, right? Like, he goes from, potentially viewed as a mustache twirly villain prior to the new X-Men. We only see him kind of get restarted from being a baby in the last issue, which they're never going to let us forget. They talk about it constantly for some reason. And then, here he's got Asteroid M. He's got a volcano lair in the Arctic or Antarctic. He's throwing Mesmero back to Earth without killing him and letting him land safely. He's following Beast around without being seen, even though he's in full costume, which I think is an amazing trick. He Byrne draws him awesome looking in this issue. Some of the shots of him, with his cape, look awesome. You go through some of these things with like the nanny robot, which gets revealed after he defeats all of the X-Men, which is pretty cool. The nanny robot shows up again in along with his Arctic base in the Trial of Gambit complete collection. So we haven't had an Epic collection cover this era, but the Trial of Gambit happens around Uncanny X-Men 350, and I always thought it was just this weird thing where they got this robot called Nanny, and this robot is brought back, and they're locking the X-Men up. It's almost like a shot for shot reenactment of what we see in this issue here. So yeah, everything about this issue feels really strong. It really puts Magneto up there as a villain, but again, with like a villain with like real motivation. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's pissed off that he was manipulated. He's not like trying to take over the world or anything silly like that yet. He's just mad, and he's flexing his muscles, so to speak. What did you
Yeah.
think?
Um, as I mentioned in the last episode, this feels like a more menacing, more satisfying Magneto story. He wins as he should, and yes, we're reminded that Magneto was winning in issue 104, but the X-Men also ran away from that one. This time they can't, right? They're stuck in that little circus cart. The point that Cyclops makes that if the X-Men had worked together, they could defeat Magneto. That sure seems salient. This group is still figuring out how to work as a team, as we've kind of been discussing, and this is the time where they have to figure that out. I almost feel like I have more to say about the next issue than this one, but this is just cool all around. I don't have much to contribute when it comes to the art. It's gorgeous as usual, just a lot of fun, and yeah, this is the Magneto that I want, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, he even calls out that he barely knows Mesmero, like that he was working with some robot, and it wasn't really him. So
Oh yeah, that was
Claremont
weird.
really set up to wipe the slate here and really set Magneto up as as what he wants to be, and this is this is in like 90 issues. He's basically going to be joining the X-Men. So we've seen that in the cartoon. We've seen it in the books of those people that have read ahead, and in New Mutants and things like that. So it's really interesting to lay those seeds and start to transform the villain. Like he's still very clearly a villain here,
Hmm.
but like there's like he's not just like bloodthirsty, murdering Mesmero for no reason, for instance.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. If you've enjoyed our thoughts, follow us on YouTube, where we're going to read, rate, and review a full Epic Collection trade paperback on a regular basis, including these one shots. Yep. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. We've got the audio podcast. You can find us on social media following our link trees in the description of this episode. Any final thoughts there, Stoger?
Just looking forward to the next issue.
All right. And then we'll get to it tomorrow. We'll see you guys then.